Now let's focus our attention on that next big thing, which is going to be the storm system coming in for the start of the upcoming weekend. And you notice here our weather impact alert now in place for Saturday, all day Saturday. And that's going to be because we're looking at our first sticking snow of the season. And the first thing that jumps to your mind is how much snow are we looking at? Well, I'm going to give you that answer here, an early answer, in just a moment, because I need to explain a few things first here. But the need, of course, especially with this being such a huge travel holiday, is you need to make sure that you're ready to expect some travel delays. Whether it's in the air or whether it's on the ground, this storm system is likely going to cause some disruptions here as we head into Saturday, perhaps extending itself into Sunday, especially when it comes to the air. That airline schedule, once it gets backed up, takes a little while for it to kind of straighten itself out. So here's the first look at Future Track, and I'm going to have our director Alex take this full screen if we can. There we go, and there you see the snow coming in as we go into Friday. And you can see it's a fairly steady band as well. I mean, this is a storm system that's not only pretty potent, but it's also got quite a bit of moisture associated with it too. It's almost coming in as a clipper type system from the north and from the west. So it's impressive to see this little shield of snow coming in as we go into Friday night. There you see going into Saturday morning, we still have snow that is flying consistently here throughout the region. And even as we go into Saturday afternoon, the snow is still continuing, though the heaviest is moving off to the south and the east. But this is going to be a storm system that'll impact everywhere from the Dakotas to Iowa to Minnesota, right here in Illinois through Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, even as far south as Missouri. As that storm comes through. There's the accumulation zone, and you can see a big swath of our region is likely going to see that first accumulation of the season. But again, the question is, how much snow are we going to see? Why the snowfall maps are not accurate right now. And you're going to see a whole bunch of these flying across Facebook or any other social media that you use. We're 5 to 6 days away from this thing. Thank you, Alex, for showing that, by the way. 5 to 6 days away. So when we're this early, things are going to change, especially considering this is the first snowstorm or first winter storm for us of the season. Models really struggle with that first one because we're undergoing a pattern change. And it's a change that's going to lead to not only the snow potential, but also an extended period of winter cold in the days leading up to and the days following. Models always struggle with this kind of thing this time of year. So you're going to see snowfall maps like the ones that I'm going to present to you here in a moment that may put down as much as a foot of snow, perhaps even more. But we have to toss those out. They're just not accurate this early in the game. We really need to get a little bit closer. We like to get to that 1 to 2 day time frame, so perhaps as early as Wednesday night, Thursday morning is when we really start to dig into those snowfall maps, especially the probability maps, which we'll be able to do I think as early as Wednesday, we'll be able to pull out the probability maps, the probability of which areas are going to get 2 inches, which areas are going to get 4, which areas are going to get 6 plus, if that's a possibility. So a reminder that the closer we get to the storm, the more accurate the snowfall maps are going to be. But right now, they're very inaccurate. They have a lot of variability from model run to model run. And you're going to see a lot of inconsistencies with these in the near term. But I promise you, things will get clear. Here's what we know as of right now, this early in the game, and what we're going to learn as the week goes on. We know right now with very high confidence that there is something coming in here Friday night, especially into Saturday. That something is likely going to be the first accumulating snowfall of the season. That almost looks guaranteed at this point based on all the data I've looked at. We also know this too. We're going to have some really cold nights ahead of this storm. We have a cold front coming in on Wednesday that's going to whip up the winds. It's going to drop daytime highs into the 30s, but overnight lows starting Wednesday night leading up to this system on Saturday are going to consistently fall into the teens. What does that mean? It means the pavement temperatures are going to cool off. It means the ground temperatures are going to cool off. And what do those two things do? They enhance the ability to get a sticking snow event here in the Quad Cities. That warm ground factor, it's going to be going away because of the cold air arriving in advance of this system. So that's what we know right now. Here's what we're going to learn as we go throughout this week. And again, perhaps as early as Wednesday, we may start learning some of the snowfall amounts that are going to be possible here. But for sure, we're going to nail down the storm track, which right now still looks like it's going to be to the south of us, given the strength of this cold air coming in on Wednesday. That's a factor. We will learn snow amounts, like I said earlier, and also when we learn the snowfall amounts, we're going to better be able to fine tune where the biggest impact area is going to be. Now, one thing to remember, this being the first snow of the season, it doesn't matter if it's half an inch, 2 inches, or 12 inches. It's going to be impactful either way because it's the first one of the season, and a lot of us, myself included, we can get a little bit overconfident when it comes to driving in that first snow of the season. So it is impactful no matter how much snow we're going to get, and that is why we've issued our weather impact alert for at least Saturday for now, because it does appear something is definitely brewing in that time frame. I want to show you the raw model data here in terms of snowfall amounts. And it shows you a couple things. One, it's going to show you when that snow is going to begin. And this is for right here in the Quad Cities. So right here is 11 o'clock on Friday night. So you notice here there's a theme. Really all day, the daylight hours on Friday are fine. If you want to go Black Friday shopping in the morning, go for it. You're not going to have any problems weather-wise there. It's when we get to Friday night, if you have travel plans late Friday night, especially going into Saturday morning, that's where you're going to run into the snow. And there you see that accumulation kind of stepping up here once we get into Saturday morning. Now, there's one model that's just going gangbusters, as you can see here, trying to bring in 8 inches of snow. We're not really going with that. I don't think we're going to see 8 inches of snow. You can see that the other models are grouped really nice and tight here in the 2 to 4 inch range. So that red line there would be an outlier. That would be the most extreme case scenario, but I just don't think that's going to happen quite yet. But it goes to show the variability in the model data and why you're going to see some snowfall maps that have a ton of snow and you're going to see other snowfall maps that don't have a lot of snow. There's still a lot of variability. Now, once we get closer to the weekend, say, for example, Thursday, and we return and we look at this model, it will likely be grouped closer together. A lot of these lines will be in more of agreement, especially since the storm system itself will be on land and we can actually measure some of the dynamics that are going on. Here's an example, 2 different snowfall maps from 2 different models here. You've got the European, actually. I actually have these reversed, but this should be the European here on the left, and then you've got the American on the right. You can see the European buries most of our area in a significant amount of snow. The GFS, or the American, which is on the right, again, I apologize, I have these labels mixed up, but it goes to show you the variability this early in the game, that you're going to have one model that's going to go gangbusters, and then you're going to have another model that's not going to go gangbusters and not give you nearly as much snow. But both models absolutely hinting that, yes, we are going to see some snow as we get into this upcoming weekend. The big question remains, where's the heaviest going to fall, and how long is this going to stick around? Also remember, too, that depending on how much snow we could get, that means even colder conditions as we head into the days following that snow. So let's recap what's going to happen here. I'm going to walk back over here to this side and add another little pause point here. That went a little bit too soon. So just to summarize what's going to happen here the next few days. So Wednesday, the only impact we have here Wednesday, and it's a low impact, is gusty winds, perhaps up to 30 miles an hour. But we're dry, and we're a little bit colder with readings in the 30s, so no travel impacts here on Wednesday. We get to Thanksgiving Day and Friday. It's dry and just cold. A little bit breezy, but nothing too terrible. Once we get into Saturday, that's where things go downhill, and that's where you really need to keep an eye on your travel plans. And of course, keep it right here with us. I'm sure we're going to be doing a ton of these live discussions all week long and heading into the weekend. In fact, if memory serves me correctly, I'll be in for meteorologist Morgan Strackbein this upcoming Saturday as this thing is hammering the Quad Cities most likely. You can bet I'm going to be planning on doing some live streams Saturday morning to keep everyone updated on what's going in. And I know James will likely be doing some as we go throughout the week because, again, this is a huge travel period, and we want everyone to know what's going on in terms of the impacts of this potential storm. So, again, Wednesday looks fine. Thursday looks fine. All of the daylight hours on Friday look fine. Once we get to Friday night, especially getting into Saturday morning, that's where we're going to start to see some of these impacts being felt as the snow flies in. We'll throw up the 8-day, and then I'll take some of your questions here. So we got plenty of time too, by the way, to take those questions. So feel free and submit them. But there you go. So we have our fog this morning. That's why we have the half weather impact alert on today. Tomorrow is going to be the best day of the week. I mean, 56 is not going to be a lot of sun, but at least it'll be warm. That means time is running out if you want to do those outdoor lights and decorating comfortably. As we get into the rest of the week, this is what I'm talking about. You see these overnight lows Thursday, Friday, and even into the first part of Saturday. We're going from 20s to teens and then back to 20s. That is cold enough, again, to cool down those pavement temperatures, cool down the ground temperatures to make both of those surfaces more kind of easily to stick to snow, if you will, more attractive to snow, sticking to them and accumulating. Also notice our daytime highs really aren't going to be doing too much in terms of warming up either. We're very close to freezing. Now, yes, we're going to get a little sun here on Thursday, but more clouds on Friday will shield the sun. That allows the cooling of the pavement to continue and stick around, and then henceforth really enhances our opportunity to see that snow as we head into Saturday, at least for it to stick anyway. Quick nationwide forecast for travel, starting with the day before Thanksgiving, Wednesday. You can see trouble spots mainly limited to the Pacific Northwest, also the far northeast if you go into New England, a little bit of rain activity there. Also the UP of Michigan seeing a little bit of a rain-snow mix there. You go to Thanksgiving Day, it looks great. I mean, I don't see any big problems across any part of the country. Granted, we're going to be cold here. We're talking about 30s, as I just showed you. But you get to Friday, and that's where you start to see that storm system coming together. You've got the snow here from the Dakotas going through Iowa, right into the Quad Cities, and then right down into central Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. In fact, if I were to extend this into Saturday, you would see that swath of snow continuing eastward into the Ohio Valley and then eventually off to the East Coast. So there's the nationwide view of what everything looks like. And again, you get a first crack at what's happening with this storm system that's going to be coming up later this week. But my goodness, yeah, there's going to be a lot to track this week. It's been kind of an easy start when it's come to storm systems. We have not had to talk about severe weather in months. We haven't really had to talk about any meaningful winter storms for months. Now we get our first chance to do that, and here we go. Not even winter yet, not even meteorological winter yet, and we're talking about snow. By the way, meteorological winter begins a week from today, next Monday. So if we do end up getting snow this weekend, it's kind of pretty much on track, kind of on par for what we would expect this time of year. Not too surprising. All right, now it's your turn. If you have any questions that I can answer for you, again, text the number 309-304-0888, 309-304-0888 if you're on the 8 Plus app. If you're on our Facebook simulcast, right here in the comments section is where you want to be, and we will get through these really quickly here. Debbie says, glad I don't have to drive to work in this fog. I was very thankful that I beat the fog. I had great visibility when I came in at about 3:30, 4 o'clock this morning, but unfortunately the rest of us, yeah, we're kind of stuck with this mess. Melanie, yeah, the fog is definitely very thick. We have Billy this morning. Hey, good morning, our good friend Billy in Clinton. Could there be a severe weather component with this winter storm? He says, thank you for your time and have a great day. You have a great day as well and a great Thanksgiving. In terms of a severe weather component with this storm, I don't see much of that happening with this one. There's another storm, though, that actually is going to bring some severe weather down to the Gulf Coast states later today. But this one, not looking likely. Just doesn't have the similar dynamics, nor does it have all the nice warm temperatures to work with to get severe weather, and especially not going to have severe weather this far north, given this storm system's track to the south. Logan saying Monday morning could be a mess, or you'll be cleaning. Yes, that is possible. Now, speaking of Monday morning, I do want to draw your attention back to the 8-day, because you'll notice for Monday, early next week, we still have these rain and snow icons in the forecast for early next week. That is a low confidence scenario. We're very confident about Saturday right here. This we're very confident in. What we're not confident is what happens behind that storm system. There's one scenario that tries to bring in yet another wave of energy for Sunday into Monday. That one looks like it's more of a rain-snow mix if it were to pan out. But there's also a couple of solutions that just do a one and done. They bring in the storm system Saturday, and then nothing else comes in behind that. Based on what I've seen, again, we're very confident in Saturday that yes, we're going to have a storm there, but we're not too confident of what's going to happen here Sunday into Monday. So that's why we have not extended the red box quite yet into Sunday or Monday. We may have to eventually do that perhaps later this week when we get a little closer and we get a little more agreement. But right now, it appears the biggest impact day is going to be Saturday versus what could possibly happen later in the week. So just wanted to throw that out there in case maybe you wake up Wednesday or Thursday and you see some more red boxes for later in the weekend, then that would be what happened. We would have more energy come in behind Saturday's storm, and that would follow up with another one that would be a rain-snow mix. But right now, kind of mainly focused on Saturday as being the most impactful based on what I'm seeing this morning. We have Susie saying good morning from Belvedere. Any idea about the snowfall here? Also keeping up with my former chief meteorologist, Mark Henderson. Great guy, miss working with him. This is going to be a snowfall event where everyone appears to kind of be right in the line of fire, if you will. It doesn't look like anybody is really going to miss out on at least some snow. I mean, you look at the snow swath here. Again, what I'm showing you here in this kind of blue, this baby blue color, are the areas where the model is predicting at least some snowfall, whether it's a dusting of snow or whether it's several inches of snow. All of that is included in this contour, this color here. And you notice it covers everybody, all the way even down to St. Louis and south of Quincy, having that potential to get some snow. So yeah, I think everybody's going to be in line for it. Heading into this Saturday, the way things look so far this morning, that's for sure. We also have Tyler's got a good question. How's it looking this weekend here in the Quad Cities when it comes to any possible snowfall? And that's what we were talking about. Again, it does appear we're going to have snow, and it is going to stick. We have these colder temperatures coming in before this system arrives that allows the snow to stick more easily to things like roads and also grassy surfaces. But the big question remains, how much snow are we going to get? And in case you missed this just a few minutes ago, I was breaking down the raw model data that we still have a big spread in these snowfall numbers here. We've got one model going absolutely gangbusters with more than 8 inches of snow, but otherwise we have a nice sampling or a nice grouping of some other models early on here that are kind of giving us this 2 to 4. But a reminder, this is the first snow of the season. So whether we get 1 inch or whether we get 8 inches, there's absolutely going to be some travel impacts because it's the first time we've had to drive in this. And a lot of us are kind of bad at driving in the rain as it is. Now we got to add snow. And a lot of us kind of forget how to drive, myself included. You got to get reacclimated to how the snow handles with your vehicle. And I got a different vehicle, so now I got to get acclimated to how that handles in the snow. But yeah, I think a lot of us are definitely going to feel some impacts Friday night and especially most of the day on Saturday. Now you notice there's a little bit of a kind of a leveling off here. So we are seeing some good agreement that there's not going to be much additional snow here come Sunday. A lot of this will begin shutting down as we get into Saturday evening. But there's only one more scenario, and that was why I showed you the 8-day, because there's another scenario that tries to bring in another storm system, and that's kind of what this one is hinting at here. As we go from 11 o'clock Saturday night, you see a little bit more of a climb here in those higher snowfall totals. And that's what I think this red model here, the red line, is indicating. I think that is the model that I showed you in this next graphic that was counting on another piece of energy quickly following up behind Saturday's storm and putting down even more rain and then following up with snow. Again, that's the low confidence scenario. Not really confident that that's going to happen, that we're going to have 2 storm systems back to back. It'll likely just be the one that's coming in on Saturday. But there's the difference. And actually, let me fix this here because it's one of those mornings I'm trying to do about 50 things at once. Let's correct which one is which. So this is the American on the right. This is the European on the left. So now we're clear which one is which. And if you've been followers of weather, whether it's a weather blog or even here at WQAD, we oftentimes will mention that we really prefer most oftentimes the European model versus the GFS American model. The European usually is pretty spot on when it comes to winter storms. And you can see it's the European that goes gangbusters with the snow here. But what's interesting is it's the American model. That is the model that is bringing in 2 storm systems, one on Saturday, another one that would follow in its heels on Sunday going into Monday. But these snowfall amounts are for the exact same time period. So notice with the American model, the heavy snow is way up north in the Dakotas, also in Minnesota, while we have the lighter totals here. But you go to the European model, and you've got this heavy swath of snow in downstate Illinois, and still some good amounts here in the Quad Cities. Now, again, notice I didn't put any numbers on this. There's no scale because we don't want to talk numbers this early in the game. But if you look at all of the consensus data for the models, I think it's easy to say this early in the game that you can count on at least seeing an inch or two of snow. Especially when you look at this, there's good consistent agreement that you're looking at least 1 to 2 inches worth of snow coming in for the upcoming weekend. We have Cheryl saying coming home from Hillsborough, Illinois to Kewanee on a Sunday. What will things be like then? All right, so if you're traveling on Sunday, coming back into the Quad Cities, we think by Sunday, as long as we don't get that second system coming in, which is very low confidence, by the way, of that happening, by Sunday, we're talking about things calming down. The snow coming to an end, of course, by then. If you look at Sunday morning here, this is 1 o'clock Sunday morning, the snow, at least the accumulating snow, is starting to wrap up here in central Illinois. So we're clearing things out in the Quad Cities. We're clearing things out in northeast Iowa, even southwest Wisconsin. But again, if you're going to be traveling very early Sunday morning or late Saturday night into the Quad Cities, that's where you could still see a little bit of those snow-covered roads. Now, thankfully, with this system, we're not going to be dealing with strong gusty winds. We're not going to see blowing snow. We're not going to see drifting snow, at least in our area. And also, because the temperatures are going to be close to freezing as this is falling, it's going to be the wet, heavy snow. That'll be the type of snow that we'll be seeing. That's no surprise. It usually is the first one of the season because temperatures aren't too cold quite yet. And with that, I think we have answered all of our questions here. But we still got 3 minutes left on the stream. I like to end on a nice, clean, even number right at the 9:30 half hour. So if you have another question, you can feel free to put it right there in the chat. You can also text it to us as well. I want to check one last time, though, on some of the visibility that's going on across the region. We'll kind of poke around at some of our different weather cameras that we've got. It's been, again, kind of amazing to watch this visibility drop so quickly. Let's go to back to the Sauk Valley, which I actually haven't got to look at too much this morning. We'll go to the Whiteside County Airport, which is just south of Rock Falls. So we are pointing this west, kind of a little bit northwest. This would be Illinois Route 40 in the background here. And yeah, it looks like your visibility is now less than a mile. Looks like you got about maybe a quarter to half a mile worth of visibility there at the airport. Let's go further to the north of that into downtown Rock Falls, which is just right up the road on 40. We've lost the view of the Rock River in the background. So yeah, a fourth of a mile of visibility it looks like, just based on this shot here. Interesting enough too, we have some wind with this. Why are we seeing the fog? Well, we're getting this increase in moisture ahead of our shower chance that's coming in this evening. So that's exactly why we're starting to see this fog form. We can go a little bit further to the west, down to Prophetstown. This is perched up on the grain bin elevator. Looks like we've also lost the view of the Rock River in that background as well. So just take it slow this morning. If you got to be somewhere, if you're practicing patience and you've got your headlights on, you'll be good to go. You'll make it to your destination just fine. So we'll continue tracking that weather impact alert through this morning. That'll end at noon. We'll see what the fog situation looks like for this afternoon. Then we can concentrate all of our attention and focus on this upcoming winter storm potential for the weekend. So stick with us. We've got lots more updates planned this week, especially on the 8+ app where we can do all of this bonus coverage. I'm going to take a couple more days off here before the holiday, so I will not see you before Thanksgiving. Morgan, I believe, will be in for Ask Andrew on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. That does not change. But I do want to wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, as always, for joining us here on the 8+ app. I will be back with you Thanksgiving Day in the morning. Also be back on Friday, and then I'll be filling in for meteorologist Morgan Strackbine on Saturday. So looking forward to joining you then, and especially Saturday morning, we are going to have a lot to track for you on Good Morning Quad Cities. And you can also count on extended coverage right here on the WQAD 8+ app. If you have not done your homework that I assign every week and told a friend or a family member about the News 8+ app, get on that. Make sure they download it. A lot of you are probably going to get a smart TV for Christmas. Make sure and download it on your smart TV too. It's totally free, and you get all of this bonus content right here. And by the way, did I mention it's free? I think I did. All right, you guys have a great rest of your Monday. Leave the tracking of the storm to us here. We'll keep you updated as we go throughout the rest of the week.